Alright, so I've already quartered our lovely tomato. I've got our meager little shrimps defrosting from the freezer. I'm going to get everything laid out first before we go ahead and do something, because I've learned from last month. So, this is our combo pinch of salt and pinch of sugar all mixed together. Since they go in at the same time, why dirty two bowls? So, something else we're going to need. That dry red chili, coarsely chopped. Heaven forbid they use a Ziploc bag. So, we'll have to puncture that. Now, the directions say that you can seed your tomato, but I'll be honest, in all the places I've had tom yum, I've never seen it seeded when they've added a tomato. Now, they say a long one of these. We only have small ones, so I'm going to use 3. This may end up being too spicy to eat, at which point pizza is just a phone call away. Okay. So, this says just coarsely chopped, so I'm going to just cut off the ends here, just like any other bean, even though, of course, it's not a bean. Ha ha ha. I have cooked Thai before. This is one of my favorite Thai dishes. So why it's taken so long for me to attempt this? In all honesty, it's because I'm fussy. Which is to say, I've had tom yum I like, and I've had tom yum I didn't like. And the last thing I want to do is make tom yum I don't like. So I've kind of been on the lookout for sort of the perfect recipe. And I don't know that that's this, to be honest. But it's a very pretty cookbook. Purportedly pulled right off the street of Bangkok. Well, not the cookbook, but the recipes. So I guess my thought is, you can't ask for anything more authentic than that. Now, I'm sure there are those of you that are like, why is he using this tiny knife that's barely doing the job? Although I'm sure you're all speaking with butcher tones than that. And the reason for that is that, for whatever reason, big knives scare me, so I don't use them. So if you think you are mightier than I, by all means, do not use a mildly sharp, slightly bent knife to cut your chilies. Alright, so I am going to put all this lovely chiliness, I'm going to attempt to, I'm losing chilies onto the floor. For the cats to eat, that'll go over well. I got it. There we go. Wash my hands. Don't wipe your eyes. Yeah. Which brings to mind, if you are one of those people that sweats a lot while you cook, wearing gloves or some such thing while you cut up your chilies of various kinds for this dish, probably a good idea. Alright, so needless to say, I scrubbed my hands thoroughly while and after I was doing dishes right before this, so there we are. Alright. 3 to 5 lemongrass stalks trimmed. So much like with the celery, just take off the tops. And then you take off the bottoms. And then while that may be fragrant, depending on how fresh your lemongrass is, it still goes in the garbage. Okay, so that's trimmed. These lovely half stalks here, which we bought at Meijer in a tub, have already been pre-trimmed, so we don't have to worry about that. Next up on your ingredient list is your kaffir lime leaves. These actually freeze really well, surprisingly. We have these courtesy of a recipe we did last year, and they are still just as potent as last time around. And it says 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of those is small. We'll do 6. These are supposed to be roughly torn. So I'm just going to rip it up. You would think that they would get all mushy as they defrost, because all that water freezes and then gets released, but in fact they get a little sticky when you start ripping them. I'm assuming that's the juice we're unlocking inside. Okay, so there's our kaffir lime leaves, 2 to 3 slices of galangal, which is right here. Ooh, big one. 3 galangal. Woo! Okay. Next up. Ooh, there's a black cat outside. Okay.
Yes.
5 red shallots, peeled. That lovely voice you just heard is my Owen. He likes to help when we cook. So if this just needs to be peeled, I don't need to cut it at all. It just goes in and simmers.
Yep.
Woo!
Falls apart when it gets simmered.
So how peely do I have to get this?
Get the skin off. You'll know when you hit shallot meat. It doesn't look like an onion anymore.
Sure enough, it looks more like garlicustan.
Halfway between a garlic and an onion.
That voice you're hearing from behind the camera is Andy. Say hi to everyone at home, Andy.
Hi everyone at home from Andy.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. I'm going to test. Haha. I'm going to illuminate. Shallots are 65 degrees.
As is the house. Alright, so.
My cat is much warmer. He's 71 degrees.
As he should be. Alright, so. While we're doing this, let's take a little bit to talk about another topic near and dear to my heart here. Let's talk about some comics while we're cooking, because there's nothing very exciting about watching me peel
Shallots.
these shallots. So,
The Lady of Shallot.
Brightest Day finished up this week, and so did Justice League Generation Lost. You're wondering, well, what do you have to say about that? Well, I'll tell you, since you asked so nicely. I was actually greatly disappointed with the end of Brightest Day. I really felt like in the end, it sort of became a long way around of just reintroducing the Vertigo characters back into the DCU. And that when push came to shove, I felt like most of the questions that you started out when the series started remain unanswered. And I feel like while some characters were introduced that I appreciate, by and large, it was just kind of a big sleight of hand moment on the part of DC, making us think that it was all about the characters we were actually committed to, when in fact it ended up being about these characters that they're reintroducing into the larger DCU at large. And I just don't think that's super right. So, on the split side of that, I loved Judd Winnick's wrap-up of Justice League Generation Lost. I thought it was incredibly strong writing. I thought it spoke to the history of the series itself, as well as to continuity. I thought that every character that was in the series grew both as people and in terms of their plots, both in that book and in any other book they might have had. I just thought it was a very strong outing. And I was very pleased when they announced the end of the series, that they're going to continue it sometime in the future anyways, with a Justice League International series. We can only hope that they're going to keep Winnick on to write it. But we don't have that confirmed from anyone, so it's just a wish at this point. A wish and nothing but. A couple of the followers on Twitter wanted to know if I was going to turn the Culinary Adventure of the Month into some kind of contest. That's a really cool idea. We have very limited resources here in the Youngavenger household, so we've got a flip recorder recording this one. We had my iPhone recording it last month. I certainly don't have anything to do sort of a live stream moment for me cooking in my kitchen. So, I'm willing to take ideas. What do you think would make for a good contest version? I'm just going to toss these out.